Hi, this is Mel. Hello to all of you. Today I'm going to do a story. Now this story is another ghost story since Halloween is around the corner. So there's a guy named Anil. He got his first job in the countryside. Now he was a private investigator and he was being hired by the sheriff in that county. It was like a sort of like a village setting and in the kind of like a countryside, and the sheriff was really puzzled. He was working um, to day and night to trying to solve the case of 50 missing men, roughly 50. And most people call that ghost county because the men seemed to be missing over there, and no one knew what made that happen because that county, which was called Ghost County, was really good one, and no one actually seemed to have problem with each other or anything, but all the men seemed to be missing. Now all this thing sort of started happening when there was a very rich businessman moved into that county, and he was extremely wealthy, and he had a wife and no children. So, and he lived in the middle of that county. There was a huge palatial building, and he bought that one along with few other buildings in that neighborhood. But he was extremely rich, but she was very private, and he kept everything very private. Seraph was very good friend of him, sort of developed a good friendship, but the very rich man's name was Bulbul Soni, and he had a wife. Nobody actually that much seen that wife. She used to be inside most of the time, but they had this beautiful enchanting garden where she used to go to in the evening stroll or just relax, and this was very beautiful, magical, and her name was Soni. So this private investigator Anil was hired by the sheriff of the county. Now sheriff's name was Biswajit, and the sheriff was very puzzled, so he needed someone's help, and he knew that Anil is a really good private investigator. So the story begins from here. So as Anil went, the sheriff Biswajit had a beautiful apartment for her, and this apartment actually belonged to the richest man. It was his garden house, and he just kept it there, and nobody was living. So the sheriff asked him if he can just rent it to one of Sarah's close friends. Did not tell him that this guy was a private investigator. So he said, okay, and his guest can stay and he can just pay the rich man whatever he wished. So Anil stayed there, as this was really a good place because it has a big beautiful balcony which leading to the enchanting sort of like a garden forest, and it has a kitchen, drawing, dining, and a bedroom, and the bedroom and the balcony both were on the forest side. So then Anil stayed there, and he was liking it so much, and the men at the village kept missing. So Anil saw the guest. It was sort of like a guest quarter. He saw it and saw it was really beautiful. So he started to take that, and he took it, and he wanted to visit his landlord, which is Mr. Bulbul Sony, but Bulbul Sony really didn't want to see each other or see even anybody unless he really needed. So he said, just you can drop the check in the palace garden. There was a mailbox, the garden, in the garden, and there was a mailbox. So you can just put the check or any of your concern or complain about the place you want it to be fixed. So you just put it there, and it's like, okay. So he kept just living there, and he was very eager to see that who lives there, but the sheriff says that that cannot be arranged at the moment because the rich, the tenant, Mr. Bulbul Sony, really doesn't want to see anybody at this moment. He was very busy. So one day Anil was sitting in his balcony and sipping in his tea, and he saw a most beautiful woman came down in the big mansion garden, and she was roaming around picking up flowers and singing, and she was the most beautiful thing on this earth. So beautiful, so stunningly beautiful, and she was like hardly like 25 years old, and Anil saw her and he just was so mesmerized by her beauty that he thought that she was the goddess, and Anil could not keep his mind on anything. He just kept looking at her, and after she left, she was roaming around taking her walk in the garden for like 10 minutes, and after she left, Anil could not keep his mind at his work or anything about the day or eating or sleeping, and he just wanted to see her again. So he was hanging around in the bedroom window and the balcony and wishing that she would come out in the balcony of her palace or the garden, flower garden. So she did come out every day for 10 minutes in the same time, and same walk she took and played with the flowers and trees and leaves, and he would just watch her. So slowly kept watching her, and he seemed to be so much attracted by her beauty, and so Anil really wanted to go to that house. So he asked the sheriff that if he could just talk to the rich guy about this murder going on in the county, if he knows anything about it. So sheriff arranged somehow a visit, and Anil went. As soon as he went there and he saw the Mr. Bulbul Sony came, and Anil was presented in front of him, and he looked, Mr. Bulbul Sony looked like a very, very ugly old man, and he was like, he was like 60-year-old man, but his face looked very evil and ugly. And then he saw this most stunning goddess came out, and she happened to be his wife. He introduced her as his wife, Sonia Sony, and she was so amazingly beautiful. So Anil just didn't understand what happened anyway, but he couldn't keep her eyes off and couldn't focus on any work, so he just even forgot to ask him the basic question he went to ask is, what is this murder mystery, what is happening, if he knows anything. So somehow he blubbered out that, and Mr. Bilbo Sony said that he had no clue. He spends all his time in his mansion with his beautiful wife, and he just doesn't know what's happening outside, and he has all his men doing all the jobs for him, taking care of his money and investments. So Anil went away, but he couldn't keep his eyes off Mr. Bulbul Soni's wife, Sonia. Sonia, he was so much in love with her beauty. So as he was sitting in the balcony and he was seeing her, and he was like so mesmerized by her beauty that he realized that he wanted to go to the garden. So he walked up to the garden and he picked up a lot of beautiful, beautiful rose flowers and waited for her. As he came out, he greeted her and gave her the rose flower and told her that she's so beautiful that he couldn't keep his eyes off of her. And she just smiled softly. And then her bodyguard, she had bodyguard, her bodyguard went and complained this to the Mr. Bulbul Soni. And this Mr. Bulbul Soni was very angry and he talked to the Seraph about it. And he said that Anil has been doing that, staring at his wife. And the Seraph then told Anil to keep his mind on the job and stop looking at the wife. But this wasn't happening with Anil because he kept looking at Madam Sonia Soni. So then one night as Anil was sleeping, he saw two men walking inside and they were looking for him and they tried to kill him. So he quickly got up, and there were many hiding places in the palace, especially in the garden. So he ran out through the back door and hid under a tree where the men looked everywhere and they couldn't find him. So they went away. And then they told Mr. Bulbul Soni that they couldn't find him. So then to this, Anil got very scared that he realized that these men were after him and tried to kill him. So then again the second day the man came back. This time Anil kept a pillow on his bed and pretended this was somebody human and kept covered and everything. And these two men came and they poked their knife on the pillow many times and then they went away. So they thought they killed Anil, but they didn't actually. So as Mr. Bulbul Soni saw that Anil wasn't dead, so he was extremely anxious and angry that Anil is not dead. So he sent his trusted man. His trusted man came and tried to kill Anil, and that time Anil kept arrangement with the Seraph and few other people, and they caught the guy who came to kill Anil, and they questioned him. After questioning him, they found out it was the Mr. Bulbul Soni who was sending these people to kill whoever was keep putting their eyes on his most beautiful wife. And that's where all the men were getting killed. So they got the whole story and they came to arrest Mr. Bulbul Soni and his wife. But by the time these two men and wife, they escaped, so they couldn't arrest him. So then as they were looking all over for this man and the wife, they came to the end of the town, and there was the end of the town in the forest. There was a little hut, and in this hut there was a witch. A witch was living there. So Anil went inside and he asked the witch if she has seen a rich businessman and his wife. And the witch said yes, she has seen them. Last night they stopped by, and then she doesn't know where they went, but she said she had seen them previously. About 5 years ago they came, and that time it was a huge blizzard and they got stuck in the blizzard, so they stayed with the witch. And the wife was feeling very sorry and crying to the witch, saying that this very rich, filthy rich businessman was very handsome at that time, was always fooling around with other women, having many mistresses. So the wife was very sad. So to that, the witch did a witchcraft, and that witchcraft made Mr. Bulbul Soni a very ugly old man, and made his wife the most enchanted goddess whom no man can resist falling in love. So that's the curse. But last night, she said, when they came, the witch realized that what she has done, that's why all the men are dying, and the village became without any people, especially men. So then the witch tried to reverse it, but before she could reverse it, she did the rituals, but before she could reverse and finish her ritual, they escaped. So Anil and the seraph, they went looking for them, and as they were looking for them in the forest in the dark, they saw there were two statues, one for a man and a woman, and this man and woman statue was the businessman Mr. Bulbul Soni and his wife Sonia Soni's statue. So when the witch finished her ritual, witchcraft, then these two turned to stone statues. So I hope you like this story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And I'll see you with many